Hello and welcome back. Susan Zumo here, intuitive and originator of soul patterning harmonics. If you haven't had a chance yet, go over to my other video, which was an interview with Catherine Llewellyn. She's absolutely wonderful. We really connected and we got to talk about things that I don't normally get to talk about when it comes to podcast interviews. I also encourage you to go visit her website. She has some phenomenal offerings. And so I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there. She hasn't asked me to do that, but I found her to be very high frequency and very sincere. So I'm just going to leave that with you. So this week, we've got a lot to talk about. When I started to look into what we wanted to communicate this week, they gave me a list. And they said, here is a list of the things that you have been taught to be afraid of or to hate. And I thought that was a pretty interesting way to start. So let's start with the big one. We are on the precipice of change, and timing is crucial. And so the messages that we're putting out and the information that we're giving is designed to keep us in a certain frequency, to lift us to a high frequency, and to help us navigate this tremendous shift that we are creating and going through at the same time. One of the things that they stressed with me was that we have such a limited idea about who we are and about what the world is and what the world was. And they would like us to expand our knowledge. Because as we move through the precipice and through this crucial time, we need to be willing to see things that have been unseeable up until this point in time. And so that's how they got on the subject of the things we've been taught to fear or hate. The big one, and the first one, of course, is God, Creator, Source. We've been taught to be afraid of God. We've been taught to be angry at God because God is the reason for all of the troubles that are in our lives, or for all of the reasons that our lives are not perfect. That's just an old teaching designed to keep us from connecting to and embracing Creator Source, and to recognize that we are part of Creator Source. And so things have not been done to us. They have been created with and for us in order for us to grow and to grow up. When a child falls off of a bicycle and they get hurt, they don't blame their parent or God. They realize that they need to make a correction within self in order to ride the bicycle without falling. We need to remember that for ourselves. Divorcing ourselves from Creator Source is what the controllers love. Because when we are divorced from our own connection to Creator Source, we are fearful. We don't know what to believe. We don't know who to follow. We don't know what's true. We can't check in within ourselves, and our intuition is cut off. Well, don't give them that satisfaction. Connect with Creator Source. Embrace your soul. And make that connection, because you're going to need it until we get into next year and beyond. The other things that we were taught to fear or to hate are things that we can't touch. If I can't touch it, it's not real. If I can't touch it, you have to prove to me that it's real. If I can't touch it, then I can't believe it, and I have to be afraid of it. And this is the programming and the conditioning that we have been giving about non-physical beings for as long as I can remember. I remember as a small child being told that there is no intelligence other than humans in the entire universe. And I always thought that was a load of, horse stuff. Doesn't make sense, does it? However, that's what we've been taught. Now, for those of us who know better, the next teaching is, well, okay, they might exist, but you should be afraid of them because they're coming to get you. They want to conquer you. They want to enslave you. They want to kill you. They want to steal you. All of that has been taught to us by people who want us to be in fear and controllable. And so we don't know what to believe. Look at all of the movies that have been put out about non-physical beings. You may find one or two, maybe three, where they're benevolent. All the rest, they're coming to get you. And so, when things appear before our eyes that may be manufactured, we're going to run for the hills screaming. And because we have been taught our entire lives that safety is outside of us, we will be begging some outside authority to rescue us from the terrible beings. And they will be happy to step in and make the rules for control. So I want you to think about that. My guys reminded me of the law of attraction. If you are filled with anger and hate, that's what you're going to attract in the physical and in the non-physical. If you are filled with love and released fear, then you're going to attract loving beings in the physical and the non-physical. The law of attraction is always at work, and we should remember that. Now, fear can be a real thing because it can be the fear of something we have not experienced before. An infant who is only around men who have no hair on their face when exposed to a man with a beard is going to scream like a banshee. Does that make the man with the beard a monster? No. It means that the child is unaccustomed to seeing someone with hair on their face, and they need to expand their experience to embrace something new that can be very, very loving. And so again, I hope you'll take that analogy and think about that. What else have we been taught to hate or fear? Well, we've been taught to hate each other. If you don't think like me, if you don't vote like me, if you don't pray like me, then I'm going to hate you. I'm going to be afraid of you. You're going to come and get me. It's time to put that to rest. A lot of the things that they're talking about and that I'm bringing up happened in the past. They are old school. And if we do not want to recreate them in the future, we need to expand ourselves and our experiences and change what we know and change what can be for the future. So how about we stop hating each other? How about we stop being angry at each other because others don't believe the way I do? Others don't look the way I do. Others don't think the way that I do. We don't have to hate each other for that, but we've been taught to do that. And to make it okay to hate each other, we've been taught that those who are not like us, or think like us, or feel like us, are less than us. And nothing could be further than the truth. We are all a spark of God creation. We are all connected, and we are all part of one another. We're only separated because we're standing on the planet Earth and having a duality experience. Once you leave the planet, there's no duality. We're one. So maybe we should try to remember that instead of hating or fearing one another. Again, that law of attraction is going to work. If you're hating people, you're going to bring in people to hate and people who hate you. So let's eliminate that from ourselves. We've been taught to be afraid of and to hate money. People who have money are terrible. Money does terrible things to you. Money corrupts. Well, money is a tool. Money doesn't do any of those things. We are corrupted by the desire for power. We are corrupted by the desire for control, for security, for physicality. Those are tools. We don't have to hate money. We don't have to hate people who have money. It's okay to have money. And that may be a new concept for many of us. We need to recognize that it's a tool. And we are not going to be seduced by it if we're not seducible? So I want you to think about that. Embrace these things. Change how we think about these things. Change our experience of these things. Maybe at some point in the future, we will move into a reality where there's no need for money, and that would be wonderful. But until that day comes, there's nothing wrong with money. If you have money and you have an open, loving heart, you can help others. You can take care of your needs and you can share with others. If you have a closed, fearful, and greedy heart, then money will be different for you, and how you use it will be different. So remember, it's not the money, it's you. You can embrace it. You can put it in its place and not allow it to rule your life, but you can use it as a tool to benefit yourself and others. We've been taught that things that are too good to be true are too good to be true, and we should run away from them. Well, guess what? Things can be too good. And we're moving into a time period where we want things to be too good. And we can create things that are too good. They're phenomenal. They can be glorious. They can be wonderful. Things can be too good and be true. And so as you go into the coming weeks, I want you to consider all of the things that are in your life, in your heart, and in your belief system that you have been taught to hate or be afraid of. And ask yourself if you still want to carry that with you. The greatest thing that we have been taught to hate and be afraid of is ourselves. And this is the largest injustice I can possibly point out. We've been taught to hate our bodies. We've been taught to hate our family members. We've been taught to hate our experiences. We've been taught to hate the way we talk, the way we look, the way we eat, everything about us, the way we learn, the way we measure up. We've been taught to be afraid of our own power. We've been taught to be afraid of our own success and our own abilities. We've been taught to be afraid of what we know and who we are. And we've been taught not to trust ourselves. We are changing that. Those of us who are moving into a higher frequency and living in a place in our heart and experiencing and creating life from a heart space are not afraid of ourselves. And we are learning not to hate ourselves, but to love every aspect of ourselves. This is the most important thing. And this is what we need to carry into the future. If we cannot move away and release our fear, anger, and hatred for self, we are not going to be able to create the new earth. And I know that we're creating it. So you all are doing a great job with all of these things that we're talking about. If you weren't able to love yourself more, to bring light into your body and to share yourself from the heart with the world, we would not be experiencing the things that we are experiencing now. We are on the precipice of great change because you and I are creating it. And I applaud every single one of you because it is not easy. Simple, but not easy. So as you go into next week, I want you to be especially thoughtful of all the areas within self that you have been taught to be afraid of or to hate. Embrace it, love it, and let it go. That's old stuff. So I hope that message really helps you all this week. I do have the Foundations workshop up, and it is ready to be downloaded for those who are interested. If you are interested in contacting me and working with me as an intuitive or in taking one of my courses, I really encourage you to email me. Again, I thank everybody for sharing these videos. for liking them. I love our conversations. If you have questions or there's something you want the guys and me to talk about in a weekly message, go ahead and put it in the comments. I'll ask them. I'll check in with my higher, and we'll see what we can bring to the discussion. So I love you all. I wish you a wonderful week ahead and many, many blessings.